Welcome to my channel. I want us to look at one of the fallouts from the Nigerian Bar Association annual conference that took place in Lagos recently, especially the speech by the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, who represented his principal, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm talking about APC Kashim Shettima, former governor of Borno State and an incumbent senator. He said something profound, and it is something that Nigerians should examine thoroughly. He said that if they win, that's if APC wins the presidential election in 2023, that he will be in charge of security, while Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate, will be in charge of the economy. That his statement has caught the attention of the media and has caught the attention of Nigerians who are now examining what he meant by that. But he was unequivocal in his assertions, in his declaration. He wasn't hiding it the way. He wasn't hiding anything. He said it plainly. And this is what he said. He said, I have been in the theater of conflicts for 18 years. I will lead the troops. My principal is an economy wizard who has transformed Lagos into the largest economy in Africa. He will concentrate on the economy. By God's grace, I will handle the security. And not only handle the security, I will lead the troops to battle across the length and breadth of this country. That is his assertion, that he will be the one to lead the troop. Invariably, he is the one that is going to fulfill the conditions of 1999 Constitution as amended, Section 32, Section 130, Subsection 2, which vested the power of the commander-in-chief on the elected president. So what Kashim Shettima was saying is that he will be the commander-in-chief, while the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be in charge of the economy. In fact, if it happens like this, and that's what they've agreed, it will be entirely a reversal of rule, because the president is elected as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and the vice president only operates at the behest of the president. Even though the vice president used to be the head of the economic team, whatever he recommended at the end of the day ends up at the table of the president, who determines whether that policy will go or not. So at the end of the day, the vice president being in charge of being the head of the economic team is largely advisorial, because at the end of the day, it is the president that will determine what happens and what will not happen. I will remember in the past when Obasanjo used to say that the job of an advisor is to advise, that it is now left for him to choose whether to take the advice or to reject it. And that is what it is. That is why Nigerian president is the most powerful president you can get anywhere in a democracy. The buck stops at his table and no more. But for Kashim Shettima to serve this notice this early that he will be in charge of security, while Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be in charge of the economy, should set the alarm bell ringing for voting Nigerians. And I will get back to that. Before I do that, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. The alarm bell should ring because Kashim Shettima is telling us something in advance. What is he telling us? One, he is serving notice that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has no capacity to be commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which is the most critical job of a president. Don't forget that the most important section in the Constitution is the declaration that the responsibility of a government is the protection of life and property. It is the most important section and responsibility of government, protection of life and property. Now, if this most important job of a president is being outsourced or will be outsourced to another person, it means that ticket doesn't even deserve to be elected to that office. And now you ask yourself, why is it that Kashim Shettima believes that Bola Ahmed Tinubu don't have the capacity to handle security? What is it that he knows that Nigerians don't know? Because he didn't give any specific reason why Bola Ahmed Tinubu should not be the commander-in-chief or take security decision. Instead, he was regaling his audience that he has been in the midst of conflict for 18 years in Borno State. Therefore, that is enough reason for him to be the commander-in-chief. If he had been in the midst of conflict in Borno State for 18 years, what is the result to show for it? Boko Haram are largely still in control of that place, despite what anybody can tell you now. Because not long ago, a few weeks back, Senator Dume, who is a senator from Borno State, was interviewed on Channel Television. He was at the Maiduguri studio. He said that he was able to come out that day to the studio because Maiduguri is now safe, quote unquote. But he said that outside the Maiduguri itself, you cannot guarantee your safety. So what is Shettima bringing on the table from the experience he had as being a commander-in-chief, being as a governor of Borno State and chief security officer of the state? Was he not there when the Chibok girls were kidnapped? And the records are there about his alleged complicity in not doing the right thing that made it easy for Boko Haram to pick those girls. There were reports from WAEC and from Federal Ministry of Education, which Yesho Wike was the supervising minister at the time. There were letters already circulating on social media and everywhere, written by Minister of Education to all Northeast states about not holding election in certain parts of their states. Kashim Shettima as governor ignored those things, and the Chibok girls were kidnapped. So what is he bringing on the table as a commander-in-chief or somebody who will be in charge of security from Abuja? He said he will lead in front. He was the one that formed the JTF, civilian JTF in Borno. There was never any record where he followed them and entered the bush. The JTF themselves, they used to move with the military. Sometimes they used to do combined operation with the military. There was never a record where he moved, where Kashim Shettima joined them with the military to move into the bushes, into the local government headquarters and everywhere that Boko Haram took over. But now he wants to bamboozle Nigerians by saying he will lead the troops. He will be in the forefront. As if there had ever been a record where a civilian was leading the military to enter war front to go and fight terrorists or fight the enemy, just to make him sound good. But the most important thing to take away from there is that he is questioning the capacity of Tinubu to be a commander-in-chief. And that should be worrisome to Nigerians. It means that if for any reason Nigerians, for whatever reason, vote for Aswani Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president, they are actually voting for Shettima to become president. And Aswani Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be just like a placeholder. I don't think that is what Nigeria needs right now. The terrible situation of Nigeria in terms of the overwhelming insecurity in the country need a commander-in-chief that will command and that has the confidence of his troops to execute. And when they fail to execute, be able to raise the sledgehammer to fall on any commander, any service chief that failed to deliver in his area of command and jurisdiction. The country doesn't need a commander-in-chief that will outsource his responsibility either to his deputy or to anybody. So that is where Kashim Shettima assertions should be closely watched. That is assertion that he will be in charge of security, while Aswani Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be in charge of the economy, is something that Nigerians should make sure that it never happens. How would they do it? By ensuring that they don't even get to the Aso Rock Villa in the first place, so that Nigeria cannot be a place for the experimentation of this absurdity. Because if the vice presidential candidate of a party doesn't have the confidence that his principal has the capacity to provide guidance, to provide leadership as commander-in-chief, Nigerians should be wary about having such a team in the presidential villa, so that there will be no conflict of interest. There will be no conflict of interest. And by questioning the capacity of Aswani Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be the chief security officer of the country or the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria, it is a red flag. Perhaps he believed that Aswani Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not have the acumen, doesn't have the wherewithal to be able to take critical decisions that has to do with the life of Nigerians. the lives and properties of Nigerians. So is this statement a confirmation of the fear that are being expressed that Tinubu lacks cognitive uh, balance to be able to coordinate his thoughts and take critical decisions? And security being a very critical section of the presidential duty, that such a duty should not be in the hands of Tinubu. Is that the message that Kashim Shettima is passing? Because there are already allegations on social media and elsewhere. Even I will pull some of them out where it's been alleged and it has not been challenged that Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu is suffering from Parkinson's disease. It's an allegation. But it's an allegation that the presidential candidate have not come through on it. And Parkinson's disease is a degenerative disease that has no real cure. It was the thing that eventually killed former world boxing champion Muhammad Ali. It can only be managed. Being a nervous breakdown disease, the person keep on depreciating in terms of balance, in terms of ability to coordinate thoughts. So these are the issues. Is this a message that Shettima is passing? Because don't forget that shortly after the trending music by the Pirates, Omilako song, Wole Soyinka, who was one of the founders of the Pirates confraternity, made reference to how people he knows who suffer from Parkinson's disease were still able to function. That was one of the things that also reminded people that perhaps that is what Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu is suffering from. And I will pull out some of those reports and put it under this video so that you can go and read it and verify. So somebody who had Parkinson's disease surely will have difficulty in managing a country like Nigeria at war. And that is why many Nigerians are still waiting to see Tinubu being engaged for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You remember when the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, granted interview to Arise Television, and there was so much hula baloo about some issues raised there. Atiku's camp challenged Tinubu camp to present Tinubu for an interview for 1 hour. That challenge has not been taken, and Tinubu seems to be even backing those people up by by that kind of thing they said about him, that he could not be able to grant interview for 1 hour. Look at how he failed to appear at the Nigerian Bar Association conference that held in his backyard right there in Lagos. So that is the challenge that people should take seriously. That Shettima is saying he will be in charge of security. It's a red flag. You will never hear the vice presidential candidate of Labour Party, Ahmed Dati, Dati Ahmed saying something like that because he knows his position as vice president as made explicit in the constitution. So that is why Nigerians have to be very careful in electing a president who will not be a commander-in-chief. In electing a president who may not be able to have the capacity to take tough and hard decisions when it matters most. And it has to outsource that decision, either voluntarily or involuntarily, to another person to take. So we have to be very careful with the Tinubu Kashim Shettima ticket. Nigerians should think carefully before electing the next president, before electing Aswad Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, because already they are showing signs that their presidency will be full of conflicts, since the vice president has announced in advance that he will be the one running the country. It has never been done before. We should never allow it to happen. Thank you for watching this video. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you.